to another Waterfowl Wednesday. Trevor, how's it going?
Good. Doing pretty good.
It's been a big eventful night so far.
It's been an eventful night. It's been an eventful week. It's been good.
That is true. Tonight we have Paul Hinman with GK Calls. Paul, I really appreciate you coming down, making the trip, and it means a lot to us.
Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to finally get this work out with our schedules.
Yeah.
And turkey season and all that good stuff going on. But
that's the tough part. Turkey season's around. I mean, it's here now. Finally. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've been dreaming about the days about it.
Yeah.
And
we've been busy at it.
It's still as soon as like the second day starts, it reminds me why I want to punch a wall every single time I go out there after this thing.
Yeah.
It's a very frustrating thing.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, it can be, I guess. So I guess you want to kind of introduce yourself, kind of explain.
Yeah, like you said, my name's Paul Hinman. I'm from the Flint area. I've been waterfowling since I could probably walk. You know, my father introduced us, my brother and I, at a very early age, and it was always a fascination to me from such an early age. And he taught us how to blow a duck call, and went from there. You know, and that's what inspired me to be what I am today and where I've kind of gotten to. So
we talked about contest calling and everything. What kind of year did you start with the contest calling? Because I mean that's a big step right there.
Yeah. So kind of go back a little bit. I started duck hunting in the managed areas, and up by the Saginaw Bay area, I was hunting Nianquin Point, Fish Point. I was sitting there one night and I watched this guy. He was blowing the call, and it was like the Pied Piper. The ducks were just. And I said to myself one day, I said, I got to be that good.
Right.
And then once I achieved that, I'm like, well, where do I go with this from now? You know. And so started looking into the contest calling, and it was about 2001. I started kind of fiddling around with it, and then 2002 I came down here to Point Malay. Had no idea what I was doing. Back then, there was 4 regional contests at Point Malay.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so it was like the guys from the south would take boat or truckloads of people up here because there was 4 contests, and it was kind of like the last ones before the Worlds. So you had big names coming up here, and so there was like 20 entries in the one, so I get in there. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
Got my butt whooped. Like, what the heck? So I just everything I could. I got the Worlds tape, the video every year. I got the cassette or the video, and I sat there and I watched it. And I said, I got to. It's 2003, 2002. 2002, we went to Peoria, Illinois for the big show there. There was 60 callers in the bullpen there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there was 5 ex-world champions. There was guys at top 10, all from the worlds, you know.
So you're the bullpen catcher like we were just talking
about.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around, and it's the who's who.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you got Jimbo, Ronquist, Stevens. I mean, you got guys that are just won so much.
Right.
And so got my tail whipped there, and I was like, all right, I'm in it now.
Right.
And 2000
kind of lit a spark underneath you, like you wanted to
yeah, so
get
2003, I practiced hard and went to the Michigan State contest up in Bay City. Mm-hmm. Blew 3 clean routines, came in second to Jan Ellert.
Wow.
Jan was really good, and he'd won it a couple times. And he ended up taking 3rd that year down in Stuttgart.
Really?
So yeah. So then,
I mean, that's got to be a whole confidence boost right there.
Oh yeah. And then I'm thinking, well, I took second to this guy, you know.
Right.
So, but then that's what fueled me more. So I wanted to beat him the next year.
Right.
So 2004 rolls around. I come in a couple of other contests, getting stage presence, getting my confidence up. Went there, and I beat him in 2004.
Nice.
And everybody was pretty astonished by that because the year prior he took 3rd in the world.
Right.
Yeah. So then that was like it built a friendly competition. Like between him and I, we were the only ones that were really, you know, stood a chance.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I was training to beat him, and he was training to beat me. 2005, I beat him again, and then I think I stepped away for a couple of years, and then 2009 I came back and won it again, and then 2019 I was like, hey, let's try it. I won it again. So 4 times I won it, but yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. A whole a family thing though. I mean, once you get into with those guys, the top callers around the world, I mean, it's just a big friendly family competition.
It's a community. It's
right.
I mean, we're
right.
all trying to beat each other,
right.
but we're all afterwards. We're
You're there
friends.
for each other. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly. Now, I always wondered about this with competition callers. I'm pretty like, I don't know a whole bunch about competitions. Every single one's a routine, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the same routine. How do you learn, or like, how do you learn that? You just listen to the tapes, or like, who was your, like, I guess, mentor towards?
My mentor, I really didn't have one. I just kind of, this is before Google and YouTube and all that stuff. So I would go to him and I would take this little recorder. And once I got kicked out because I stunk so bad, I would sit in the audience and I'd record everybody. Then I would go home, listen to it, and you break it down in their segments, especially in ducks.
Yep.
You know, you got the high balls,
Right.
the quacks and feed column and all that good stuff. And
Right.
so I started developing a routine and kind of liking what I heard from this person and that person and kind of making it my own. And that's when I started to win a lot more.
Gotcha.
From 2004 to 2009, I won a lot and either place in the top 5.
So it's basically not even listening to the radio. You're just listening to sequences and,
Yeah.
and just
That's what I did when I started competition goose calling.
really.
Yeah, it was just literally because, like, I don't know, I always looked up to Trevor Shanahan in a way, and just when I actually got to meet him in person and hear him call, I was just like,
Yeah.
videos and it don't do justice for him.
No, he is. I mean, he's probably one of between him and Robbie Iverson. They're probably the two that can do both and win it at any time.
Yep.
You know, they're a contender. Whenever they show up, they're the number 1 contenders.
Yeah. Then get 2 guys to do the 2-man.
Yeah, and then
Oh my
it's
God.
an unstoppable force right there when those
Yeah.
two guys team up.
Yeah, I mean,
Unreal.
and that's a crazy thing too. Like, I guess everybody's always talking about the competition callers. Well, I can still kill geese. I can still do this, that, and the other. But the competition thing is a whole different ballgame. I mean, just a thing that a whole different art form. I guess you would say with all that.
Some of the best goose hunters, duck duck and goose callers I've ever heard have never stepped on a stage.
Right.
Never. Hey, but
There's a huge debate still though too about all that stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like who cares at the end of the day? I mean,
Yeah.
like it's we're all here to help each other out.
And you
know
can
what I mean?
see it too. Some of these new guys or the young kids or whatever, they want to make a million notes and they want to do this and get crazy and everything.
Fluid.
Yeah, and it's just reading the birds.
Yep.
Right.
Is probably one of the biggest things. I mean,
100%.
see, you could blow a bird right out of the county.
Right.
Yep. It's just like when you're goose calling it because you're trying to mesh everything together. You don't have to have 100 notes in 1 second.
No.
As long as everything flows, that's what they want. I mean, for what I seen and when I did it, it's just you want everything to flow, and then obviously your comeback, and then you bring it down, and then you bring it back up,
Yeah.
and then I mean spit. I don't even want to go spit
I mean,
notes.
I mean my biggest thing though is like, especially if for our group anyway, like I'm usually the only one that's calling out there. We get some new people out there that are calling, or they got a lanyard on, and it is what it is. But the biggest thing is like you have to make sure it's like a musical. I guess.
So you got one lead singer and the backup singers.
You got to have that backup
Yeah,
singer to
yeah.
make it sound like just like a fluid thing. If you're just spitting and doing whatever and trying to get louder than the next guy, you're not doing nothing but scaring them birds off.
You know what Kyle calls his band? The Backyard Boys.
Oh, I know backyard.
Not the Backstreet Boys, Backyard Boys.
I know backyard boys. But that's the biggest thing though, is just
Yeah.
all being in tune with it all. And for people that even come on to hunts or it's hard to kind of get involved with other people that are calling. Say you got 2 guys that usually call during a hunt, and then you got another guy that brings your lanyard, or a client, or whatever it may be, and he brings his lanyard out, and it's like, let's pitch that dude like way across the field, and like have you not find it and never call again with us. Like, he's got to understand, like, you got to make sure that like everything's just in sync, and you're, if I'm clucking or moaning, like, you're just kind of murmuring in the background. It goes along with it all.
Well, that and you're reading the birds, you're clucking and moaning and giving that soft talk,
Right.
and he's highballing over here. What up?
Right.
You know.
As they're locked up in the decoys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing, dude? And that's why the whole, like, yeah, let me pitch your call real quick, and you throw it 200 yards away.
Just stomp it in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you're kind of guiding the goose and the turkey, or?
Yeah. So last fall, I worked up there with Connor at Great Lakes Guided Outdoors for the whole goose season, running 2 parties out of there most days. There was a couple days where we'd have one
Right.
party in there, but yeah. So from September 1st till Halloween, I was up there guiding, and then last spring I was up there for a couple weeks, turkey guiding for him, and then last weekend I was up there. And so
How is I guess the guiding life compared to I guess like the buddy hunts and stuff like that? I mean, is it as enjoyable, or is it more of like a stress kind of?
well, there's always that element of they're on a paid hunt,
Right.
and a lot of expectations these clients have is, well, I'm paying for this hunt, I need to shoot a limit.
Right.
And we all know they're wild animals in the
Right.
end.
Yep.
And we're not going to take you out there not to have some hunt that you're going to go. If you don't shoot something that looks bad on us, we don't want that. Obviously, nobody wants that. But when you're hunting with your buddies, you're like, well, you know what? That was the day.
Yeah. I mean, we're out here, we're having a good time.
Yeah,
we're joking around.
and then
Right.
it's easier to get over.
Yep.
But a couple of years ago, I was up there and we had this farm, and I had these guys out, and no matter what I did, right in the middle, we scouted this field. There was probably 200-300 geese in it the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time we left scouting them, and the time we showed back up there in the morning, the farmer had spread manure right through the middle of the field.
Been there, done that.
Okay, unbeknownst to us.
Yeah.
So I set up where the geese were. I couldn't call a goose into that spread. So at the end of the day, this guy, we didn't shoot a bird.
Oh man.
I mean, I couldn't keep them out of it. I mean, they just came over, boom, right in there. The guy comes up to me, he's like, man, I didn't know you worked for PETA.
Oh wait. Okay. So I misunderstood that. I thought they spread manure in your field.
They did.
Oh, so
but
they
I
were
was
going-
off of the manure pile.
Gotcha.
I was where the bird set up the night before.
Gotcha.
But by the time we had left scouting that night to
They
go
were-
look at another, the farmer came through there and spread a line.
Gotcha.
And it was 100 yards from where we were set up.
Because I've been there where the farmers spread manure out there. I go out there in the morning not knowing anything, and I couldn't get that that smell out of my nose for 2-3 days.
It gets in your skin.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's terrible. With the limits and stuff like that, you think like social media's got a big part with all of that, and even like the calling contest aspect of it all, like with the whole debate of, you guys can call on stage, but you can't kill geese. Like, I mean, I feel like social media's got a big part of that in a sense.
Social media is a great tool, and it's just a
Yeah.
horrible thing at
It's
the
a
same time.
double-edged sword.
But I mean, it's a highlight reel. Everybody puts.
Right.
Even Karen from the city, she puts her best stuff on Facebook
Right.
or whatever. She's not going to show her bad stuff.
Or hamster doing a backflip or
Yeah,
something.
if she's living her best life, she's on the
Right.
beach and drinking a margarita. She's not going to put that,
Right.
she's 20 grand in the hole and she's
Yeah.
you just sent an eviction notice to her house.
Yeah.
Stepped on a shell and she got 18 stitches in her foot.
Yeah, so it's great. It's a great tool for promoting and getting in front of people, but at the same time, it creates these expectations that every day is a banger,
Yep.
Right.
and we all know that's not.
No, and that's the hard part. I mean, you see all these like big time guys, like even like the Joe Hines and stuff like that. You see all these guys out there that you don't see the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
You don't see all the money that's putting in the gas tank.
Yeah.
Or the,
And that was the biggest complaint last year with the prices of fuel went up
Right.
through. Connor had to raise his prices.
I mean, what do
Well,
you
we could
expect?
hunt the same field every day, and you might shoot 10 today. You only shoot 2 tomorrow.
Right.
Yep.
The next day, you're not going to shoot any because we
Right.
just burned it out.
Right.
We don't want to have to for us to scout.
Right.
So
And too many people, I feel like, don't understand the price kind of range on that. Like, they don't understand like the wear and tear on a vehicle. They don't understand a lot of the small, fine details that
and
Yep.
some of these farms you're leasing,
Right.
they're all the things that go into it, and that they don't see the behind the scenes stuff.
Money, money, money. All day long.
And it's just only Horizon too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Horizon. I guess let's crack into the GK calls. I guess
Okay.
how we talked about it a little bit earlier. But I guess start from the beginning on how you got involved with that.
So, like I said, going back to the contest thing, back then we didn't have the social media we had were the forums,
Right.
the waterfowl forums, and so Bob Alfieri, who owns GK, him and his son Glenn, Bob took over the company or bought the company from Todd Svoboda back in the early, I think it was 99 or 2000.
Okay.
And so the forums were blowing up with these new GK calls. And they're in Troy, Michigan. And I'm like, well, that's an hour from my house.
Right.
Let's go down there, check them out. Bob lets us in. We blow some calls, and he's like, "Hey, you want to be part of my pro staff?" Okay, yeah, sure, sounds great. What does that all detail? He's like, "Well, you just travel around and go to these contests and do your best.
Right.
Promote my calls." Okay.
You mostly duck call, right?
I both. I did duck and goose,
Okay.
yeah. But I was a little bit more successful with on the duck call side
Okay.
of thing. But back that day, little did I know that him bringing me on as a pro staff became part of his family too. Over the years, the last 20-some years, they're like a second family to me now.
Wow.
And I've been to all their weddings, anniversaries, and all these things.
Family
It's like
reunions.
yeah. I mean, they both Glenn and his whole family and Bob, they know my family, my kids. That's part of,
Right.
they're like their extended family too now. So it's been a great relationship, and I wouldn't give it back, and no money in the world would ever get me to change over. I mean, it's just that friendship. I mean,
Yeah.
he's like a younger brother to me as well, Glenn. And
Right.
we've done so much, been across the country, and I mean, we have stories, and it's just, it's a family thing now.
Unexplainable.
Yeah, it's just a family. But so I went down there. He gave me 2 calls. He gave me a comp killer. That was the comp call for the goose at the time, and a little giant. Those were the 2 new calls he came out with, and at the time, and I went around blowing them every contest I could. Started winning
Is
some
he
contests.
turning those himself at that point?
No, he was CNC and machining them then.
Oh, back then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that's the way it is today still.
Right.
Except for we have some poured acrylic calls that are
Gotcha.
molded. But yeah,
Poured acrylic, okay.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that even.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a
Like a form, you just put it in, and it molds to it.
yeah, and there's really no work outside of taking it out of the mold. Like when you,
How long does it take for that to set?
I don't even know honestly.
Is that a one piece or is it?
It's a one piece.
Oh, it's a one piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can kind of see the seam on it a little bit, but it comes out of the mold and it's ready to go. You plug cork and reed in it,
Good to go.
quack. Yeah.
Wow.
Or a honk, or, but
Right.
when you have an acrylic call, then that's the thing people don't understand is there's so much labor-intensive work you get. I mean, just the CNC machine, we send them
Yeah,
out to
it's a
somebody,
lot.
and you got to polish them, you got to put the bands in them,
Right.
paint them.
Even just
Tune 'em.
tuning. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So there's a lot of hands-on stuff for that. Whereas the molded call comes out, boom, you're ready
Good
to
to
go.
go.
Yeah.
With the
Interesting.
call companies now compared to like back then, I mean, nowadays it seems like everybody's getting a lathe and just starting a company up. I mean, and I guess it even goes back to like the pro staff now
Mm-hmm.
to then with social media, everybody seems like they're on somebody's pro staff
Yeah.
and this, that, and the other. I mean, back then that was a big deal though.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big deal to be on somebody's pro
Yeah,
staff compared
it meant
to,
something, yeah.
Right. Like
But-
you were somebody with it all.
Yeah. And nowadays, I really don't think there's a lot of pro staffs that are assembled anymore.
Right.
That,
It's just
Yeah.
a bunch of random people I feel
Yeah.
like that are just like you have to even like have to what is a subscription to be on the pro staff.
Yeah.
You're just a number.
It's a $50 application fee, and then you got to go through the hoops and loops and all that. And
right. Right.
Yeah. They give you 10% off.
yeah,
But you better post us. Tag us.
You gotta
every
tag
single
us, yeah.
post. I mean, it's a whole different aspect nowadays. I guess.
Yeah.
You go on everybody's Instagram or Facebook, whatever, and it says pro staff this, pro staff that, and it's like, okay, welcome to the pool. You know,
Yeah.
it's-
Yep.
Yeah. And the thing is the people that are real in it, they don't have to post the pro staff stuff.
You can
Yeah.
definitely weed out those kind of people for sure.
Yeah.
You can definitely weed that out. I mean, the company down in Kansas that everybody knows about that's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, that's everybody's Facebook and Instagram's got.
what is that?
Starts with a D, ends with an X. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so
Yeah.
like everybody's got that nowadays.
Yeah.
Though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It is what it is.
Well, I got a question though. Why are we matching though? I took it off, but
You called me before this.
I did.
You did.
I did. I think you called me actually.
It's either I mean, vice versa. Whatever.
I think we talk to each other every day though.
we do.
Yeah.
I
He's cute on the phone. You should hear him.
All right, that's about it for today. So I mean, where was, I guess, your most favorite spot to travel for contest calling, or I guess even like hunting aspect? I mean, have you traveled a lot for hunting wise?
Yeah, you can't beat North Dakota.
No.
I've been to North Dakota. I've been to Canada, but we freelanced in North Dakota several times, and you just can't beat
Right.
it.
I've heard a lot of great things, but it's almost like a Florida, I guess, nowadays for turkeys. Like everybody's just flocking right over into that area.
Yeah, but when they shut the border down, they had a lot of people that were still planning on taking trips to Canada. Mm-hmm. What's the next best thing to Canada in the United States is North Dakota, South Dakota. But South Dakota doesn't. South Dakota, you have to apply for.
It's an oddball.
You have to apply for a small game license out there, or to hunt ducks.
Really?
Yeah, you have to apply for it. So they limit their out-of-state hunters that way.
I never knew that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to apply for it in the summertime. There's an application time.
Now, how easy is that to get?
I've known some people that have gotten it like several years in a row and then didn't get it.
So no like preference points or nothing?
No, I don't believe there's a preference point system. It's just luck of the draw.
Oh, okay.
So,
Kind of like the Michigan Elk League. It's $1 million thing to get.
I gave up on that.
I've put in for an elk permit ever since I could remember, and
Yeah, I gave up on it.
yeah,
I'm on year 3 of my bear tag right now. So
yeah. So you've got 3 points in.
Yep, I got. Well, actually, this year will be the 4th one, so I got 4 more years, maybe.
I was gonna say,
6
well,
more.
that's 4 points.
Yeah.
For you.
Well, I say no. I say 6 more years to get the red oak area.
I think I
It's
drew
about-
red
it's a-
oak with 7 points the one year.
Really?
Yeah.
They're talking. My buddy Matt Neves. He's on his 10th point this year and still never drawn for red oak area.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it red oak? It might have been over towards Wisconsin though. I'm trying to think.
I don't know that side, but I drew with 7 points one year, and red oak. So
Success or no?
we had bears hitting all of our baits. It was
that?
just a buddy and I, and we had 6 bait stations out and the week before our season started, it was youth gun deer season,
Oh goodness.
small game season, and everything. We had our baits just smashed, and then we came up on Wednesday, and it started on Monday. Our bear permit started on Wednesday, and it went cold.
Wow.
Just too much
It was a
traffic.
fall hunt though.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. And so, and then we found on our trail cameras that the dog guys were starting their dogs on our baits. So,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Was it September?
yeah,
I was just
mid-September.
Usually that's when it's drawn, right? September.
Well, that's when the hunt starts.
That's when the hunt starts.
I think
Yeah.
you'd find out by like August or July.
It's like
Right.
July or August, one of the two.
Okay, yeah. Because I had a buddy this year. He drew one. I want to say like Alpena area.
yeah,
It's red. It's
oak.
red oak. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, right around that area.
Yeah.
He
It's
did pretty good.
it's in the different. They name it
like-
different areas and stuff like red oak, like Gaylor, Grayling, Alpena, all that. I think all that's red oak.
Yeah, it's like this the northeast
Okay.
corner. Of
Yeah.
there.
I gotcha.
A lot of bears up there.
Morris
Yeah.
Code. I think I was talking about like in the UP or something like
No,
that.
the UP
No.
it's a lot easier to draw. There's a lot more tags
That's
too.
what I thought.
Yeah.
And if I draw one again, that's where I'll go.
That's why I got a buddy up there that guides. He's got dogs and everything too, but you can do one or the other. He used to anyway. I know he moved out to Alaska and started doing like grizzlies and I forget the sheep that's out there. The white sheep.
Doll sheep.
Is that what it is?
Is it doll or?
Yeah, I don't. I'd be
I
lying
don't
if I
know.
told you.
There's
what
like
the
8
names.
different sheeps I feel like out there. But yeah, he used to do that all the time, and I don't know how I'd feel about the dogs running. I feel like I'd rather sit in a stand and shoot one. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have a preference either way.
Right.
If it's legal.
Right,
go ahead.
yeah.
But in the UP, they have the quiet season, which is the first 10 days, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe.
Yeah.
And you can't run dogs.
You can't run dogs, yeah. And
And
then after that, you can run dogs.
Yeah. So it gives, like, the guys that stand hunt
Right.
10 days to tag a bear, which I think even down here, as hard as it is to draw a tag in the Red Oak area and the preference points you have to have, I feel like they should do something like
Yeah.
that here
Yeah.
too. But, it is what it is now.
I guess I really wanted to talk about the old turkey hunting with you. I know we talked a little bit about it beforehand, and you've been guiding, so I'm I mean, how long you been turkey hunting for?
Oh, as soon as I could walk. I mean, yeah, like when I first started, you had to put in for a permit.
Okay.
It was like 91, 92.
I remember hearing stories about that.
And I was like, I just turned 12. I was eager to go. And I remember the one year I didn't draw, and my dad and his buddy did. And I was so upset, I think I cried. Because, I mean, I just love it. It's the, turkey hunting. And I think if turkeys did this all season long and you could hunt them, I don't think I would hunt anything else.
I don't think so either.
I mean,
if you can hear that every single morning, yeah.
I mean, when you get them in there that close and you can almost feel the earth shake and your rattles in your chest, it's
and
that's
nobody
what my
understands
son
that.
just experienced this year.
Yeah.
Well, I told you that.
Well, what do I say that everybody that's on here, like, you literally feel it in your toe hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like,
It was
people don't understand that.
shaking in our chest. We had 5 toms at 50 yards gobbling in our face at the exact same time.
Yeah.
I had my 5-year-old son with me, and he said he was like, he just sat there. He goes, "This is unbelievable."
yeah.
And I said, "Yeah." I said, "We didn't kill anything that morning, but it was just like that was, as an
I'm a
experience
grown
you'll never
man, and
forget."
it still gets me
It
every
never
time.
gets old.
It still gets me every time. I mean, especially those ones like you thought. Like a couple of years ago, I was hunting this one bird, and he was just a monster. And I was calling at these ones over here, and I thought he was with them, and he snuck up from behind me, and was just like 10 yards away, and just. And I was like,
yeah. It just instant.
I mean, it just
Make your neck hair stand up.
those big old birds. They just that gobble just goes forever.
Oh, yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, that's what we had opening morning. I took my buddy Devin out for the first time. He's never been. He went out like 2 or 3 times, maybe last year.
Mm-hmm.
Ran into some jakes. He's never really heard a gobble like up close. I think opening morning we had like 20 birds within 200 yards, just hammering on the roost. And there was this one old bird that you could just tell it was like just that deep, raspy, just nasty gobble out there. But he finally understood what was going on, and I took my sister out. Like, he understood like the what I meant with it, like the feeling that you get when they're gobbling that close, like just the adrenaline that automatically hits you. And I took my sister out for the first time Saturday, I think it was, and it was raining a little bit in the morning, and I think she was just shitting bricks the entire time out there because she thought coyotes or something was gonna come get us because there was rain hitting the leaves off the trees and stuff. She's like hiding behind me, wondering what's going on. We get in the blind, and there's 2 that are across the river gobbling, and the next thing you know, that old bird is like within 75 yards of us and hammers 1 time, maybe 2 at most, right on the ridge next to us. And when she turned to look at me, her eyes were just huge, and it was just like that's like why we
do it.
You know what I mean? Just for that excitement and stuff, and for somebody like you can see it click for them. It's a whole different feeling towards it all.
Or it's like when you get that one lone goose coming in, and he's just
right.
the whole way in, and you're just like,
Client misses. That's the worst. Last year I had one. He pitched into the field. He took off. I had to have called him back in from like he was way out there. But granted, like where I'm at is rolling hills out there. I mean, it's you haven't seen it. Trevor over here has seen it. I mean, it's 50 to 100 foot drops. There's a river bottom down there. Just beautiful piece of property. So it's kind of hard to determine like where
that sound bounces off of everywhere. Yeah,
you know, so it sounded way far out there. Well, he comes into the river bottom, and I can see him walking. So I turn around. I got the bead right on him. He's at like 5 steps when he comes over that ridge, just looking right at me. I'm like, this isn't really my hunt. This is my buddy's hunt. I'm not gonna pull the trigger. Hopefully, like if I'm sitting still enough and he's okay, like he's gonna walk right past me. Next thing you know, he starts putting. He gets on like this little plateau, like 20 yards behind us, just out of sight. I tell my buddy to like get over at my tree and stand up because it was a little bit bigger of a tree, so you kind of hide the shadow. Pulls over, misses that bird at 20 yards. But like even just that close of like encounter and stuff like that, and he started getting a little drive of going out there, and it's hit or miss. I mean, it's just a great time being out there in the springtime and hearing that.
I have to show you a video I found today.
Of what?
this turkey was at like 2 steps from this guy, and he was sitting there yelling, "How fucking close they gotta be!"
Oh, I think I've seen that through the timber or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I've seen that.
it was hilarious.
I think I've seen that. So maybe you know, maybe you don't know. Huge question that I've been trying to figure out. Springtime turkeys, corn and bean fields. It always seems like one year is better than the other. Like whether it's beans or cornfields.
So what I have found, and it's all weather dependent. Rainy days, any green field, they will not. They don't like being in the woods. There's too much with the rain hitting it off the leaves, like you were talking before. It kills their one sense that they're hearing. They can hear and they can see really well.
Right.
Okay. So they'll get out in the middle of a green field, either corn or whatever, or even that tilled up bean field or whatever. Windy days, same thing. They're going to be out there. So if it's rained overnight, they've been sitting up on that limb all night getting soaked. They're going to pitch down into that green field or that open field and just sit out there and wait for that sun to come up. So a rule that we kind of do is if you got a side where it's going to be blocked from the east, they like to get out first thing in the morning, like get out in that, right out in that sunlight, even if it's raining or not, to warm up, get that sun hitting them. So if you are sitting there determining which side of like if you're hunting a field turkey, first thing in the morning, you're going to be on that west side of the field.
Makes sense, huh?
So they come out, because if you're on the east side, your trees are going to be blocked until about 10 o'clock.
Right.
And
Shadow
they, so that east side of that tree line is going to be covered, and you won't get the sun to them. So the bean,
number one I messed up on. Okay, go ahead, keep going.
So I mean, and that's general. That doesn't happen every time. It's not like, hey,
I'm newer at turkey hunting. I'm still trying to figure everything out, so I'm taking notes here.
In that aspect, though, are you like doing a are you side shooting them? Like, are you trying to like not be directly in the sun so the sun's not glaring
so if
off you?
No. I mean, you're still going to try to obviously you get your face mask, gloves on, and all that stuff. But you want to put your decoy at a side profile so that the sun's hitting it from that way too. Because if you have it straight on, if you expect them to come from this way, you want to have it kind of set like this, on a side profile instead of face forward, because then visibility, more surface area for them to see. But that, like I said, that's not 100% time every time. I mean, turkeys, once you think you figured them out, they're going to do something else you've never seen. But that's generally a rule of thumb that like I go by. Just being on that western side and first thing in the morning, if it's going to be a nice sunny day.
Well, what you just explained is what exactly the birds just did opening morning for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you had a rough opening morning. I had a rough second weekend.
Well, I had a good opening morning. It's just nothing cooperated, and that's a long story. But
I ended up missing. I think I told you on the phone. I told Trevor too. Ended up missing. I think it was Monday night. The second weekend of season, I went out there by myself, and kind of, the afternoon is. It's almost like a deer hunt at that point. Like they're not that fired up. I mean, depending on weather.
Yeah. Depending
on weather. Like it was cold out. Like he was kind of hunkered up still all afternoon. Like he got fired up like once or twice where he fanned out, and he was gobbling. It was kind of weird. Maybe you can kind of like come back with this. It almost felt like he was like being able to control like how loud he was gobbling, because like he was 40 yards away from me, but I could barely hear his gobble.
Well, was it
gobble?
Was it windy, or was he facing away from me too? Because I've had turkeys 40 yards away from me that you swear they're 200,
right?
But it's either windy or they're facing totally away from you.
It was a tad. It wasn't terribly windy for a bird to be 40 yards away and like think he's further out.
Was it in the woods?
No, on a field edge. He was facing away. It was a little bit windy. Yeah. I get that, but it's just like sometimes I feel like the birds just get that smart gene in them, and they know what's going on, and they can kind of control like what's going on. And I could be completely wrong on that too.
I'm not sure about that. I've never really seen or heard of that, but there's times where slamming the car door will fire them right up.
Oh, right.
Right. The dog, whatever.
Right.
I mean, somebody's neighbor's dog, he just fires them right up. And
then you get out in the woods and they're just done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But going back to that mid-afternoon stuff, that is my favorite time.
Really?
These next couple of weeks coming up, because early in the season the hens haven't came. They have
Right.
the ones that have been bred haven't started making their nests yet, and they're not tending their nests. So
Right.
the gobblers are with them all day long. Like that's what I've been seeing these first 2 weeks of season. They're with them all day long. So about 10 o'clock, those hens will start to go off and get on their nests, and the toms lose them,
Right.
and then
They're
still,
looking.
They're still looking for something, you know. They're looking
Right.
for love, and from 11 to about 2, it's like that's
Game on.
oh, they get you strike one up, and you're pretty much, if you're within 100, 200 yards of them, and they gobble back at you, you better hold on.
That's why I feel like that afternoon is, I mean, with the weather that's, right weather and later in the year for sure. I actually talked to one of the farmers tonight, and he said that he's seen a hen on a nest already too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's going to start happening real soon, because I've seen a lot of turkeys being bred already,
Yeah.
but, it takes a little bit of time for, to
Right.
incubate, and then
Right.
then they lay them. So once that starts happening, you're going to see a lot of lonesome toms in the afternoon.
Yeah, and I feel like this year too, I mean, and maybe it's just me thinking this too, it's been a really green spring.
We had so much rain. We had
Yeah, that's true.
We had a bunch of rain in the beginning, and then we had that warm week and a half.
Yeah, it was like 80 degrees.
Yeah,
or
and then
something
it
like
went
that.
back to crap weather and rain.
Right.
And so it got green real
Yeah,
quick,
real
especially down here. Up north, still it's starting to get. We're there about 2 weeks behind up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it was opening weekend and we went down in one of the valleys, and I was like, well, now I know why the birds pitch down here. I mean, there's just everything is just green. It's just everything's growing so good down there. It's the hard part is like I can't get down in there, and this is the hard part with that property. Where they pitch down at, there's a huge opening in the trees, so it's like its own little field down in there.
Yeah.
So they don't want to be out in big field. They want to be down in the secluded area that they've been watching all morning, and they watched all night. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
But if you try to get down in there on a calm day, or if it has rained 2 inches prior, then there's no way of sneaking down in there and getting close.
The thing I found with that is get in there super early. No lights if you know the property, and you can get in there. Minimal light, if red light at all.
You think
Because-
see the red or no?
No, it doesn't spook them like that. The
No.
red lights, like coyotes and all that stuff, other animals, the red lights don't spook them like a white light does.
Okay.
I've literally
Tell Devin to grab his headlamp.
unknowingly set up a pop-up blind right under a top.
Really?
Yeah, and I heard something. I'm like, what is that? Peek my head out.
Let me put my head right back in.
I thought it was a raccoon in the tree, because they once it starts getting closer to
Right.
daylight, they're moving around, and
Yeah.
there's bark and stuff falling down on the pop-up blind. I'm like, what is that? You look up.
He's right there.
Jeez.
Don't move.
Gobbling right in front of you.
Oh
right
yeah,
above you.
and it just sounded like he was in the tent with us,
Oh, man.
But then, of course, he flies out 160 yards out into the field, and then just
Yeah, he's
books,
gone.
So, but yeah, so especially in the situation you're talking about, getting down in that little valley and stuff, go in there like really light and not take a tent or a blind. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sit down and don't move. And you generally they'll pitch down in there. They have enough time to rest.
That's what, well, I guess I'll start off with this. That's what, like, Devin, when I took out opening morning, he doesn't know a whole bunch about turkey hunting, whatever. We get within the 200 yards of the roost. We've hunted this property for a few years now, and I got a good understanding of what's going on there. And I'm like, man, I don't know if this is briars right here or what's going on, but, this would be a good spot. He's like, oh, let me turn my headlight on real quick? I'm like, no, dude. Like, what do you even think? Why do you even have that on your head right now? Like, throw that away right now,
They
dude.
got a 900 lumen headlight.
Yeah.
It's like
We're not sending a goose spread out right now, dude. Like, no. So I went stumbling through there, and it's like, he's like, I didn't know. I was like, I know you don't know, but, like, Don't do that, man. Don't. You're good. I'll figure it out one way or the other. But
Then he's pointing it up in the air.
yeah, exactly. I think the gobble's over that way. I think it is. You see that bird in that tree right there?
No,
Devin's not here to
everybody
defend
can
himself.
see him.
What was
I
that?
said Devin's not here to defend himself.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Devin's. It doesn't matter.
There's still a podcast hasn't uploaded yet, and it's
Devin's podcast is one of those podcasts you're gonna sit there and listen to, and you're gonna be like, "What are these guys even talking about right now?"
I haven't uploaded it yet, but it's a funny one.
Yeah.
He sat there. I was recording on Snapchat. And he sat there for like 10 minutes, going like, 1, 2,
Check 1, 2.
3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Check. I'm like, dude. He's like, why'd you record me? I was like, why didn't you stop? Like, how am I not supposed to record this right now? It was a good time.
Oh, Devin.
You know, turkeys, and that's the thing. Like they're just so they can be patternable,
Right.
but then they can't. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, they'll just throw you the wild
Well,
card.
you hear it all the time, and you see this bird 5 days in a row pitching down right here at this point.
Mm-hmm.
The day you go out there, they're not there.
He goes the opposite way.
Right.
I mean, it was Saturday morning. I watched these. Friday night, I watched them go into the woods at 8:30. It was raining, overcast, so it was good. It was pretty much dark.
It's gonna be a good morning.
Yeah, and so I watched them go in. We came in there the next morning, set up a blind, got there dark. We're sitting on the edge of the field, dark, no lights, like ninja skills, right? We get in there, put up the blind real carefully. I got clients. I got 2 clients. They're putting it up. I'm gonna make no noise. Like
Picking their
I'm like
nose.
super proud of them. Like, good job, guys. 'Cause, you know, like I told them at the truck, like we're coming in, no lights.
Right.
We're gonna set up quiet, and once we get it up, nobody talk.
Right.
Because I really honestly thought we were within 100 yards of the roost.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when they came through and I didn't think because it was so dark that they wouldn't go far into the woods and pitch in or
Right.
pitch up, you know. And so we're sitting there. And I knew it was going to be a not a real good gobbling morning because it was overcast, cold, and
Right.
raining, drizzling. So didn't hear a gobble. Didn't hear a gobble. They're like, "Did you see any birds here last night?" I'm like, "Yeah,
They're here."
There's 3 longbeards and a ton of hens, you know." And usually you'll hear at least a hen up there.
Yeah.
Something.
Right. Yelping or whatever.
Nothing. About 8:30. They go out. They come out in the field 200-300 yards down at the far end of the woods.
Oh.
I'm like, I never heard them fly down, and so it's not like we were on top of them and they just got silent.
Right.
I never heard them fly down. They did, like, so they went in those woods, milled around,
Pop right back out or something.
and well, I mean, they were still in the same woods, but they came out way down there. So
Oh,
It must have
I'm-
been on like far side or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I mean, like, no gobbling, nothing. Once they got in the field, they gobbled their heads off.
How often do you think the turkeys like hop trees?
It depends, you know. I've heard and seen people say, you know, the owls, because
Kind of spook them off there?
yeah, sometimes owls, great horned owls, will pick off hens on the limb,
Right.
especially poults
Right.
earlier in this or later in the spring. You never know, you know. The landowner might came out there,
Right.
ran his John Deere out there doing something stupid or, you know, whatever. So I don't know. I mean, if they're pressured, they might jump a couple times, but
Right. So for owl call or locating calls,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think it's more of a thing where you call here, but you got to go set up over there because that owl's running those birds off?
no, I think it's that naturally, like everybody uses the barred owl call.
Right.
Okay. I don't. No, I'm not 100% sure, and there'll probably be somebody to fact check me and be like, "Oh, you're wrong."
Right.
But barred owl, I don't believe is a predator of the turkey. I don't think they're
Right.
big enough
Right.
to be. Now, somebody will probably say, "No, you're wrong." But so in the spring, you're using the barred owl sound, and it's in the morning. You hear it all the time.
All the time.
You know.
Right.
So no, I don't. I will not use a coyote call. I hear people
I
use
hear a lot of that.
coyote howl in the
Yeah.
morning. I won't use that. I don't know why. I feel like that.
But it's a predator. They know
Yeah,
it's a predator.
yeah, you know, and,
Right.
and so in the evening, maybe I will. You know, I'll
Right.
shot one off there. You know, but in the morning I won't. I'll just use a howl call and then midday crow.
I was just saying, how
Midday
often
crow,
do you
yeah.
do crow? That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't done a crow yet. I mean, I do a lot of the owlet.
And you don't even have to make it sound like a crow. It's just that sharp, real loud. That's all that fires them up. They're not like
I usually I do a goose call.
yeah.
Yep.
I've
just hail call it in the woods and just
yeah.
and you'll hear one sound off.
See, I feel like the problem with that is like the property that I've been talking about. That river, there's like I'd say 4 to 5 different nesting birds on that river flat down there. So they're hearing geese constantly
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're not doing it as often because like a goose will fly over. I'm listening. I'm not calling or anything, and I'm not hearing a gobble. I'm not hearing anything. I just feel like they're like almost used to it to an extent.
Yeah. A few years ago, I mean, well, I say a few years ago, it's probably been 20 years ago now.
Just a few.
Yeah. We were hunting up there by where my cabin is now, up in Hillman. It's just
Okay.
west of Alpena there. And we were out by this lake, and a loon flew over.
Uh-huh. Really?
Yeah, I mean, he was firing at the loon. So it can be anything. I think it's
Yeah.
the frequency.
And I know it's depending on the weather and the day and whatever it is. How often are you calling to them birds on the roost?
On the roost,
Yeah.
very seldom.
Okay.
I mean, in my earlier years, I would call at them.
I was gonna say because I'm kind of there, but I'm also kind of like following the like if I'm hearing that like so Devin's bird I barely called that day, but there was a hen between us and the tom, and I was just kind of following suit. That
Yeah,
hen go
yeah.
off, I'm following her and maybe trying to get a little bit spicier than her and kind of doing something.
I've called in more toms by calling in the hen.
Yeah, that dominant hen
Yeah.
I feel like is gonna just bring that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
100%.
got into a clucking match with one time. Just she'd hit, boom, boom, cluck, 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 and then she got within from here the wall away.
No kidding.
And I just shut up and sat there, and then she'd work her way off, and then I'd fire her back up. 20 minutes later, here comes this tom running in.
No kidding.
Yeah,
It's crazy to see them fanned up like that and like stutter stepping at the decoys.
yeah, she's
and,
side eyeing you.
yeah, bouncing back and forth, playing hopscotch with
Yeah.
herself. It's like there's not even chalk out here to play hopscotch.
Yep.
What are you even doing?
You actually seen it on Facebook the other day. There was a guy talking on there. He said he's killed plenty of birds, but he's never had a bird actually like decoy.
Really?
Yep. Never had a bird decoy.
Does he not use decoys?
He uses decoys.
I tell
He's
you
just-
what, I've used almost every kind of decoy you can, but the Dave Smith decoys.
Yeah, DSD. Yep.
100%.
I've had more bird interaction with those decoys, and I don't know if it's the paint he uses or the posturing that he uses.
I really think it's a paint with
I
the
do.
iridescent.
Yeah.
Like that, those colors, because like avian, I feel like it's almost like a crazy iridescent, and like that Dave Smith's just like that right darkness with that color. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's just because everybody used to use the phone decoys,
Yeah.
and it would work, it wouldn't work. You get an older bird that's been shot at or pressured or whatever, he ain't gonna come into it. Them Dave Smiths, they come right into them things. Hens, anything. I mean, it's insane.
Well, and I'm not trying to knock any decoy company, but a lot of them are made overseas,
Right,
and Dave's are made here.
right.
And the paint that they use over there, I can almost feel like it's like the duck decoys, goose decoys, the UV stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what Dave's using on his, I don't think he uses that that Chinese paint or whatever it is.
Right.
He's using some different kind
Yeah,
of paint.
and so
It has to.
it has to be because
Right.
I mean you can have the same decoy, same posture from a different brand company, and
It's just not the same.
yeah, I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
and people are like,
I-
"Oh, I'm not paying $600 for a decoy." I'm like,
You will if it works like I've
opening
seen.
day, yeah,
That's what
opening day.
me and my dad are investing in them.
Yeah,
We've talked about it because we've used some pretty
I was-
bad decoys. Just trying it out because we were new to it. And we are just like, well, let's
Yeah.
just try it out. And the Jake that I shot last year was over the decoy, and I was like, cause I told him about my experience the opening morning, and he was like, yeah, I think we need to invest in some DSDs. And I'm like, yeah, probably.
yeah.
I was so mad the other day because they came out with that limited edition.
That white
Smoky.
one?
Oh my god! So we have like 2 or 3 on the property.
Oh, no kidding.
So
Hens,
they're-
right?
They're
Yeah.
hens, yeah.
I've never seen a Tom Smoky in life, in
I've
real life,
I've seen one.
and I've never seen one.
My taxidermist, I think, just got one a couple weeks ago.
I mean, I've seen them, like pictures of them and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and everybody else's, but I've never seen a Tom.
The rumor is where we were hunting at, which I kind of told you about earlier. DNR was doing a study, and this is just rumor, that they dropped off like a dozen or so around the area to kind of see like what they like survival rate would be almost. So I mean that could be that. I mean the farm turkeys around the area. I mean who knows what the actual story is behind it.
Well, you got what, 2 of them?
I think I have 2 on that property, but there's another property even farther north, is where I seen that tom at. And
Okay.
there was like 2 or 3 over there. I think there was like 1 or 2 toms and a hen, or vice versa, whatever
Okay.
it was. But I was so mad because they're sold out in like a half hour.
Yeah.
And I was telling my dad, I was like, he's like, you think it's worth it? And I was like, to them old birds, yeah, I think it is worth it. Like it's just a confidence thing. It's like putting a snow goose out in the Canada spread.
Yeah.
It's just a confidence thing for them geese that are flying down, or those turkeys or whatever. Like they're it's not an unknown thing to them birds to see that kind of stuff in their spread.
Yeah.
And you're separating yourself from everybody else out there.
Yeah. But I've never had the interaction that I have with
No.
like opening day. We were hunting in Glenn from GK. We were there hunting his property, and I just had the breeding pair, and this tom comes through the opening of the food plot, and the hen did. She kind of gave us a look. He come through. He was strutting right behind her. Turned and looked, and it was like a switch just flipped in his head, and he comes sprinting in. Smacked that decoy with his wing so hard it sounded like a 22 going off.
Oh,
Wow.
And then
it's crazy
yeah.
how powerful them birds actually
Yeah,
are.
and it is smack, and then Glenn shot him. But
Right.
you know, it was, and then like last year, I had so many of trying to fight the DSDs, and
How do you feel about the like, I guess, using tom decoys compared to Jake decoys?
it just depends on your ratio in the area. So last weekend, first thing in the morning on Sunday, we had a good setup. We had probably 4 longbeards in this flock and a bunch of hens and some jakes, 5 jakes. 2 longbeards come right into the call. We had the breeding pair, and then I had just a single
Long
off.
hen.
Yeah, they skirted out around the decoy, but I come back and look, and the 5 jakes were coming up. They pushed those jakes out, or the longbeards out. The jakes came up, messed around with the decoys. They worked off. The one tom stayed up in the hill, in the cornfield, watching. As soon as those jakes cleared, as soon as those jakes cleared, I hit him with a call, and he gobbled and come right in. We shot him.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
think
then
that's a big thing with like that people don't understand. Like them jakes, like you get a group of them jakes. Like I was surprised
Push a
last
tom
night.
right off.
oh yeah,
Oh, not a problem at all. Yeah, like I was surprised last night that I had 2 longbeards and about 5 or 6 jakes out there. That them toms were still hanging out with them jakes with all those hens out there. I mean, I was very surprised on that with, I guess, seeing the interaction, because I watched them for about an hour, 2 hours out there. They just fighting back and forth. I was just with that many jakes, and you know, there's 2 toms out there. Don't get me wrong, but them jakes do some damage that people don't understand.
well, it's
Yeah.
there's numbers,
right,
You know,
right.
and the bird that we ended up shooting that morning weighed like 24 pounds. It was a big
Wow.
tom. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a big tom. So I mean, you know, it wasn't like he was a little one.
Now, what kind of jake decoys are you using?
We've used the breeding pair of Jake, and then the semi-posturing one.
Is that the one with the tail out, or is it
Yeah, a
the
little
one like
bit.
that's kind of hunkered?
It's kind of hunkered, and it's got his
Okay.
tail out a little bit, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the one I use. I was really wanting to get the one that's what is it, half strut? I think it was, with the actual tail fan kind of
Yeah.
sticking out. I've been really thinking about
I seen that because I was looking at SX decoys, their pair, their breeding pair and everything. It looked good. It looked,
Yeah.
honestly, I think it looked, I mean, not bashing companies, but I think it looked better than the AVNX.
Yeah, I mean, for the goose decoys, that's all we use is SX.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare anything to a DSD. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
DSD is just
Well, I was looking at the SX fully flocked hen and Jake, the half star Jake, and
yeah. No, I mean, SX does sell a really good decoy. Like I said, that's all we use for our goose decoys. Good price, and everything. But I don't know what it is. But I've heard stories like the Hunter and Dustin, right?
yeah.
Yeah. All they use is 12 DSD decoys for their goose spread the entire season, and just slaughter the birds off that. I mean, it's insane the I guess the confidence it seems like those birds have with those decoys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts.
And I think it all goes back to the
Paint scheme. and
paint
everything.
scheme, the body shape of them. I mean,
And it's different scheme. Like, and that's why I feel like the silhouettes, even for the goose decoys, like they see that all the way down. I mean, there's days that are good and days that are bad. Like something different, like those body skin, like the body postures and everything for the goose. It's completely different from anything else.
yeah. I mean, have you seen the DSD goose where it's got its neck like
Yeah.
cricked over here
Just
like
happy
this.
with it,
And it's
in
like,
my mind.
is that a real goose or is,
Right.
is that a decoy?
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, turkey hunting, it's, I think, you know, you hear the old timers, you know, call here, call there. You only call for, you know,
30 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
It is, right.
So midday, if I'm trying to find a bird, I'm using a box call.
Really?
Yeah. That box call is got it back. It carries.
It carries the
It
sound,
just carries. Or glass pot call.
Yep.
That's what I usually use is
That's-
the glass pot call.
I
but
just got mine in,
putt.
so-
Like, I do a couple putts and then I do the yelping afterwards. And,
Yeah.
and usually the putt gets them. Usually.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll come if I'm walking a trail or something and I'm trying to find a bird. I'll hit him with that box call, and if there's a bird in the area,
In
he'll
range.
fire up.
And how much are you jumping around, like field hopping or chasing wise?
If I'm by myself, I'm putting miles down.
Right.
You know, if I'm guiding, I've got a really good idea of where the birds are.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm out by myself, I'm gonna try to find something new.
Yeah.
You know, I that's me. But if I'm walking a deer,
Real quick.
You're good. Yep.
Keep going. Yeah, no, keep going.
but if I'm walking a back trail or something, I'm hitting that every 200 yards or so with the
Okay.
box call, and that frequency, I don't know if it's the frequency or whatnot, or just the way it travels through the woods.
Yeah.
It,
Is it? Yeah, but well, it's a little more high pitched too,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, with the box call.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of, I don't know. I had that experience last year. Had a box call. I got one to fire off right away. It was like midday.
yeah.
It was awesome. I never had a because last year was my first year really turkey hunting. I never took it serious before, but last year I did, and I also had my son with me, and we ended up shooting a Jake that year.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
together and everything. I told him, I was like, "You got your earplugs on?" Yep. Boom! Laid a Jake down at like 20 yards. He had like a 5-inch beard on him though.
Yeah.
It was a nice bird.
Yeah.
But
And then you have to share that experience with him too.
oh yeah, that he wasn't afraid of anything. He went out, picked the head up on that bird. He was trying to hold it up. He goes, "This bird's heavy," and I'm like, "Well, let me pick it up." And seeing the spurs are just little nubs. Or
Yeah.
whatever, but showing him everything and how it goes, and
You know, and
it
that,
was just like taking him out there. I mean, I can't get him to stop talking about it now.
yeah. You know, it's funny is my son, when he was old enough, my blind bag, I took him out goose hunting in early September hunt, you know, and my blind bag had diapers and wipes in it. You know,
That's
and
what mine
shells.
does too, actually.
But you know, and that's how we started, and we would
There you go.
and now he's going, like tomorrow he's gonna go with him and his buddies, and they're going to go, and to me
That's a huge thing.
to me it's like I've taught him. Now he feels confident enough to move along it, and now
Yeah.
he's introducing his friends to it,
Right.
who may have never done this before, you know, and I'm sure they're gonna have their failures, as everybody does, you
Right.
know, like, I mean,
It's a
first time,
whole thing. And that's a part of it.
that's how you learn.
Right.
You know, you can't just go out and I mean, some people do. You go out and smash a limit or kill their bird right first time they sit down in the woods, but
You gotta
those-
put the work in.
yeah, those failures are what you learn from.
And not all failures are bad things either. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's you got to look at the positives, and you got to be willing to actually learn from that
Mm-hmm.
instead of just like beating yourself up over all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my favorite thing is whether it's geese, ducks, turkeys, whatever it is just taking bits and pieces out of each hunt, and even if it was a bad or good hunt, like there's that one piece that you should take to just learn for future references wise.
Yeah, you're always learning. I mean, even every time I come out in the woods now, I mean, I've been doing this for years, and every, you know, just when you think you learned it all,
You don't.
you know,
Yeah.
there's something.
They're wild animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never know
Hey,
what's going on.
don't leave your decoy. How about that?
What was the first thing I told you that day? He goes, "Yeah, I had like 8 toms strutting on the field, and then
Wild morning. It was. You want me to tell a story?
well, let me tell you."
Okay.
And then he's like, I was like, "So let me guess, you left your decoy and you came back and it was knocked over." And he's like, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" And I was like, "Dude, that's the number one thing. Like, don't leave it because
Yeah.
them toms, they know where you're calling from. They know what's going on. Like, they will come back to that spot
Nice.
and check it out once, like you said, like after they leave the hens or whatever it is. Like, they're not dumb and forget about that. I feel like they come back and investigate a little bit, just like almost deer to an extent. Like,
Yeah.
they're also curious birds that
Well, I started thinking about it after.
And they're also creatures of habit.
right.
Yeah.
If you find a dust bowl
They're coming back.
They're gonna come back, especially on a warmer day.
Right.
Like they might not be there at 9 o'clock or 10, but
They're gonna be there.
They're
at
gonna
some
be
point.
there at some
Well,
point. It's like an elk wallow.
Right.
I started thinking about it, and
Dumb you were for leaving your decoy.
yeah, I started thinking about that because he really pressured it in my head. He goes, "You left your decoy?" And I said, "Yeah," because we actually made a stalk on these birds, went around, and I got within like 30 yards of them, but it was too thick to shoot and everything. But when I came back to the decoy to pick it up, it was knocked over. And then I started thinking, I was like, when I seen the birds in the field, there was 2 less toms in there. And I think those 2 toms skirted and went back to where they came from and seen the hen decoy and just tore it up.
Yeah.
That's probably what would have happened if there's 8 toms out there strutting. I would have thought the same thing.
Yeah. Unbelievable morning. It was just,
But it was a morning, though, like you said, even though trigger was not pulled,
yep.
trigger doesn't always have to be pulled for an absolute amazing morning out in the woods.
Especially when you got your 5-year-old saying, like, dude, that was unbelievable.
I guess, like, the whole point of that is, though, too, is, like, a lot of that goes back to the social media standpoint of everything.
Yeah.
Like, people don't realize that, or it's not all about the picture. You know,
Yeah.
It's not all about the dead bird that's just been sitting there. It's a lot of stuff that people just don't see.
Yeah.
Yep.
And and then you see that from a guy's point of, we want to put everybody in a
best-
banger hunt, right?
Right.
But some of these guys, this might be the only time all year that they get to hunt with their buddies, and they've
Right.
come together.
So
And
I
it doesn't
think
matter
that-
if they shoot 10 or if they shoot 50.
Right.
They are having a good time cutting it up, and they're getting shots, and they may be missing more than we want them to.
Yeah.
Can't hit water if it fell out of a
Yeah,
boat.
but they are having a blast,
Right.
and they're gonna go back and they're gonna be, hey, remember that time we had all that fun?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for a guide or guide service. So, anybody taking anybody out.
Mhm.
I mean, as long as the people are having a good time, like, don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah.
Just see the bigger picture of it all.
Yeah.
Like, you're lucky enough to be out there putting people on the birds, and they're having a good time, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
I mean, it's people beat themselves up all the time about people missing or whatever it is. You hear it all the time.
Yeah,
And the biggest thing was I learned a lot that morning.
And that's a big thing too. Like I said,
'Cause-
bits and pieces out of each hunt.
Because
you
I
go
went,
along
oh, I went in there blind, completely blind, because I was supposed to go out there the night before, and the whole shebang of that was I lost my license. I had to go get my license reprinted. By the time I did that, I
was a
wasn't able to go
whole mess.
out there.
I'm like trying to roost birds the night before, and he's calling me. He's like, "Dude, I don't know where my license is at."
Oh, I tore the house apart. Oh, my wife was
I'm
pissed.
like, dude, I'm in the middle of the woods right now. Like, I can't talk to you.
I'm
on the
like,
phone."
dude, call your DNR buddy. Come on.
It was a whole mess, man.
It was a mess, but I ended up getting my license reprinted, and I was like, well, I'm gonna wake a 5-year-old up at 3 o'clock in the morning because it's a 2-hour drive. We're gonna head out there and hope for the best. And sure enough, it was like 8 toms, 5 hens. It was just chaos out there.
yeah,
I mean, the biggest thing with that is getting him out there and experiencing all of that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, that was like what happened during deer season last year, opening night of deer season, a bow season. We missed a 150-inch buck at 37 yards, right over his back. Well, he was. I mean, he's getting so many experiences; it's unreal. But I'm glad he's experiencing not just the kill, but it experienced everything else. Like, oh, I missed it. Like, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, or like those times how they were gobble right at our face at 50 yards. Like, I was just like, I'm not taking a shot at 50 yards. I just don't feel comfortable with
Yeah.
it. But it was just like he got to feel that. I felt it in my chest. I know he felt it in his chest, and he was just like, "This is unbelievable." And I'm like, "That's why we're out here."
yeah.
How do you feel about those the TSS shells that people are saying that are shooting X amount of yards away?
Just like anything, our advancements and 20 years ago, if you said you shot at 40 yards, people were snickering, like,
Right.
"Oh, what are you shooting at? You're gonna
You
cripple
shooting
it."
a rifle out there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
our advancements in shells, TSS and I shoot Boss. It's all the it's. I like to. I'm a more of a person that I want them decoy.
Right. Me too.
Ducks, geese, turkeys. I want to shoot them as close as I possibly can. And just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should, necessarily should.
Yeah.
But the circumstances like the other night or other morning, we had one of the clients. It was 50 yards.
The turkey was?
Yeah, and so he came in and another bunch of jakes were coming in, and he kind of boogered up. And I don't know if you've ever noticed this in a turkey, and this, I can't take credit for this. This is one of the clients that we had last year. This guy, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the chasing 49.
Yeah.
So he is.
so.
You shoot a bird in all 49 states. The only state that doesn't. have
Oh
a bird is
yeah.
Alaska.
Okay, yep.
So he has completed the chasing 49 once, and he was already working his way back. It was his 32nd state.
Wow.
So he's almost completed the second time. So we were going over a film that Connor had clients out with that night, and these birds come over the hill. They were strutting. They came out of strut. And if you ever seen a Tom go out of strut, and he's got his
Wings tucked.
he tucks his two wings back right there.
Better shoot or
He's
something.
about ready to scoop,
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
And so I can't take credit for it. He taught me that. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I start watching it more and more, and it's every time.
Yeah.
As soon as they tuck them wings, they're about ready to scoot.
I
They're
just
like,
heard that on a podcast.
Like right there. You
Yeah.
got it.
you've got
They see
seconds.
something.
Yeah.
Right.
So this bird comes over and he's strutting, and he's coming in, he's working in, and he got about 50 yards, and some jakes start come working in, and he was all by himself. Comes out of strut.
Had have been one of the birds got beat up or something.
Yeah, and he starts to tuck this arm, and I goes, dude, he's gonna scoot, and boom, he shot him. So
Right.
clean kill. Didn't have to chase him down. So I mean, yeah.
You go over that kind of stuff with the clients beforehand, like, hey, what's your preference, or like what's
Generally, yeah. I mean, one time I was guiding ducks in my early guiding career, and I always want to finish them on my face.
right.
And so these guys were like, why aren't you calling the shot? They were like 40, 45. I'm like, I want to get them in tight for you guys. Like, we can hit them. I'm like,
All right, dude.
all right. And they weren't lying. The next flock come in, boom, 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 boom. They dropped 6 out of 8 at 40, 45 yards. I'm
You're
like,
like, damn, man, we could have been done already.
yeah, all right.
All right, cool.
Here we go.
Game on.
But yeah, but me, I just like to get them in close as I possibly can. And
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn about that, I guess, is like, if, and people get mad at me for it, it's like, hey, dude, they're 35, I wanted them at 30. Like, we're not pulling the trigger at that.
Yeah.
Because for us wise, like, even if we can kill them at 35, 40 yards away, a lot of time we're shooting these birds, like, there's 3 or 4 roosts. I mean, we're just weekend warriors, so there's only 3 or 4 main roosts that hold, say, 1,500 birds a piece. Like, one roost will hold probably 3 to 4 K on it. And for weekend warriors that are only going out, I want to make sure that we're not blowing these birds out. We're not blowing these birds out over here. Like, we got to be able to separate stuff. If they're not finishing, guess what? They're not going to go far. They're going to be probably back in this field tonight.
Yep.
And there's no point because we can hunt them the next day and still be all right and maybe switch up a couple things.
Yeah.
Switch up a hide. Like, it just depends, obviously, on your area,
the pressure.
your flight coming down. Yeah, pressure. I mean, whatever it is. Luckily enough for me, like, I'm able to do that and understand that, and finally have talked to the guys about what kind of like the vision I guess I see towards that, and they're understanding everything too.
Yeah.
With these clients, are you guys mostly running blinds, like pop-up blinds, or you guys?
It just depends on what the situation is.
Okay.
If we have a good hide, a good edge road hide, we'll put the A-frames out. Or if we're in the middle of nowhere and the birds are in the middle of the field and we don't think we can draw them towards the edge, we're layout blind.
What about with even like turkeys wise? Are you guys doing pop-ups?
So it depends. Like, you get clients that come in and they want to hunt with their buddy. Okay. So we'll hunt in a blind, or if we know they're seasoned guys, we'll put them in hunt them from the ground. But if it's raining, nobody wants to sit on the ground.
No.
Yeah.
The birds are still going to be
Right.
turkeys. They're going to still come out, but not you don't want to sit on the rain.
Right.
So we'll put up a blind. But my favorite way is just hunting from the ground.
Run and gun. Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Hunting from the ground is a whole different experience.
I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen those turkey chairs. They're almost like they're little bag chairs. Have you seen those? They're like really low profile. Check them out. They're a turkey chair. You can get them on Rogers, or some Walmarts carry them.
If I've
and-
seen them, maybe then.
They're like those bag chairs that every mom has at the
With that-
softball games and stuff.
Like
But
your
they're-
wife out in center field.
Yeah, it's like they're really low, but they're so comfortable.
Really? See,
Yeah.
I got a Millennium turkey chair. I really like that. I mean, it's lightweight. I mean, the Millennium chairs alone are just super comfortable chairs.
Not that, is it?
Yep, that's what.
Oh, that is it?
That's
Okay.
it right there.
Which one is that?
You get a Cabela's for $30.
Let me see. Oh, yeah. I actually bought my sister one. Well, I got tired of people going out with me and being like, dude, this tree's so uncomfortable. It's like, well,
Yes.
dude, like,
That'd be Kyle's chair.
what's that one? Well, don't be making fun of it, dude.
But
But like, I ended up just going out buying a chair. I'm like, I'm tired of people like, oh, my back hurts. It's like, all right, I'm done with it. Like, here you guys go. I haven't used that chair yet, but I'll take your word for how comfortable it is.
you know, and I'd never used them. And then 2 years ago, when I was up guiding with Connor, he broke them out. He's like, dude, these things are the best. Oh, okay, I'll sit. Game changer. You can sit there all day in that thing.
Lazy boys, basically.
Oh yeah, you know, sitting on the ground. Even you can have the thickest pad,
Right.
and your butt is gonna hurt.
Oh, yeah?
no matter
Your
what.
butt, your back,
Your legs go numb. You know.
So me and my son, we sat on the ground
Yeah.
because we were just going in. Just
We were running a gun.
we were running a gun, and we were just like, well, I was like, Tucker, your butt's gonna get wet. Just
Yeah.
let you know. Oh yeah, his butt was soaked.
Yeah. You know, last weekend it was a midday afternoon hunt, and I had one. We both the other client who hadn't shot his bird yet. He's like, "Let's go." I'm like, "Okay, let's go." We grabbed 2 of those chairs, pushed them up against this fence line. This really thick fence line. We couldn't hunt the property behind us. We had this property and the one across the street. And we pushed up against that fence line. It was thick, gnarly vines and everything. Pushed those chairs in there and sat there in the afternoon. Got a little heavy-eyed, you know.
Happens everyone.
Yeah. And so about, I don't think it was about 1:15 or so, I heard a gobble behind us. I'm like, oh man. So I stand up, I got the binoculars, I'm looking, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, here they come. You know, I made like 2 calls. Here they come.
It's the best, too.
Yeah,
It's
you know,
the best.
and I'm like, and the client's getting up, he's getting ready to take a leak and maybe take a smoke or something, and I'm like, get down, here they come. And there's a cut cornfield. And so as they're coming over, and now I got my back to them, I can't see them.
Oh.
Okay, and they're coming hard. You can hear them, and it sounds like a bunch of jakes. It sounds like about 4 or 5 jakes
Oh,
gobbling.
weird.
You know, and I'm like, it's high pitched and short gobbles like this. All of a sudden, I hear them walking in the corner right behind us. You can almost hear their toes cracking,
Oh, gee.
and they're snapping corn stalks. And these 2 toms, 2 longbeards, strutted like if this is the fence. We had our backs up. They strutted right on the other side. You could hear them spitting and drumming, just
Oh, man.
feathers just dragging, both of them.
Oh,
This goes on for
God.
10 minutes. I could literally have reached back there if the fence wasn't there and grabbed them. Like at one point, I wanted to grab my phone and like put it on selfie mode to see
You'd
where
have
they
been
were.
done for.
But we were gonna be done.
Right,
And I'm like,
right.
I'm sitting there with the client. And I'm like, don't.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and this is going on for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, there's 3 things are gonna happen. Either they're gonna try to somehow weasel in between us and this fence.
Because you busted or.
Yeah,
you're covered.
and that's not good. Or
Right.
they're gonna go back the way they just came from. They're like,
Right.
screw this. Or there was like a little opening about 5 yards to our left in the fence where it had blown down and the grass and everything was clear. So I stopped hearing them strutting. I'm like, man, they took off. And I
Right.
just sitting here like this, and I seen no one come through the fence 5 yards, just
Oh.
the client sitting there, and I said, let him come to the decoy. He had one of those Stevens
Yeah,
301. It's a 410.
Yeah.
He cocks that thing back and he's getting it up there. And I didn't see the other bird. And he saw him. He, pop, pop. I said, kill him. Boom! 5 yards.
Holy
5
smokes.
yards. Wow.
And we sat there in those chairs. You couldn't, you would have had to have adjusted at some point in time, that whole 30, 40 minute.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it was just,
Wow.
That's what we actually talked about on the last podcast. Those 410s are coming back. Man.
Mm-hmm.
I'd really like to get
I'm
one.
getting 2 of them.
I'd
so
really
I've got
like
the
to try
same
it.
one. I've got it in a 20 gauge. But I
Okay.
have the red dot scope on it. And
Gotcha.
I shot my bird with that this year.
I think it's just a whole different like type of challenge almost, and that's what's so exciting about it. Like,
It's
you
just
gotta
the
get 'em-
advancements in the ammunition nowadays. You know, back then,
especially with the boss shot too.
Yeah.
man, it's insane.
you know, and the thing is there was like this big misnomer, like you had to have 3.5 inch 12 or 10 gauge to shoot a turkey, and number 4 shot.
Right.
That's like limiting your pellets.
Right.
Now we're shooting 7s and 9s at them. You know, and
Yeah.
you got so many more pellets,
That's
even in
what-
that 410.
We got last 3 years, I think I've shot my bird with 2 3/4, number 5 boss,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just my goose load. I had it hanging around, just shot with that. Been,
Number 5s.
yeah, just dropping them, you know. This year I had that bird, or Monday. He was coming in. He was 35, 40 yards out. I'm like, man, he's a big bird. He's on the verge of it. Let me try it. Ended up missing him. So next thing I'm putting in my gun is 3.5, just in case. I know I don't need it, but I mean just in case, though. But I don't know. Quick though, the photography.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole photography is just an art and form of hunting that without even pulling a trigger in itself. How did you get involved with that stuff?
So I'd gotten real sick. 2017, I had to have a liver transplant.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
So
Wow.
I sat there in my recovery on Instagram back when it was actually pictures.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I started following guys like Scott Moody and some of these other guys, and I was just enamored by
It's insane.
it's insane, And I'm like, man. And so I thought to myself, I'd like to get a camera and start doing this. And so I just bought my wife bought me a Canon T7i Rebel. So like a $700 camera,
Right.
kit lenses.
Yep.
Started figuring out how to work it. YouTube.
That's a nice camera
It's a
too.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, and so I just sat there and so I mean I filled up SD cards like memory cards like you wouldn't believe with some bad stuff. And then for Christmas that following year she bought me a 150 to 600 millimeter lens, and that took the game up.
Yeah.
And the quality of the glass, being able to get closer and all
That
that
kind of
stuff.
stuff you just don't even gotta edit. I mean, it's just it's a beauty in itself.
And so, and then just recently I bought the new Canon R8, and
That's a bad camera right there.
and it is that has it just went from here to here now.
Way up there, yeah.
And it's just so to me, when duck season's over, that's when I'll go to the river, I'll throw out some decoys, and I'll get duck pictures.
Right.
It's the best time. It's extending your season.
Plumage,
Yeah.
I mean, just
To me, it's my extending my season. And then turkeys, before season, they're fired up.
Right.
Before season starts, and so I'll go out and you're scouting. B, I'm out there shooting them with the cannon. So
Well, on top of that, you're just learning.
yeah,
You know
just
what I
being
mean?
in the
That's the
woods,
biggest thing, right?
just being in the woods, and
The
so
demeanor of the birds, whatever it is.
yeah, and so to me that's almost as fun as hunting now.
Yeah.
It's I set a goal like a couple of years ago up at Whitefish Point in the UP. It's one of the only nesting places for the piping plovers.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
it's a
Never even
historic.
heard of that.
It's a little shorebird, and they're endangered.
Okay.
And so when the piping plovers come into their nest, they don't make a nest, and they build it right on the ground on the beach, and their eggs look just like rocks.
So is almost get killed there?
They look very similar to a
Okay,
killdeer.
gotcha.
Okay. They're almost, they're endangered, and Whitefish Point and that little shore up there on the northern part of the UP is one of the major nesting grounds for them.
Wow.
So we go up there generally every spring or summer, and they barricade it off. You can't even walk on the beach over there.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you stepping on these eggs. So where we were allowed to go, I just sat down. My wife and daughters went and did their thing on the beach, and I sat there and I was like, man, I just want to see one of these piping plover.
Right.
Dude, 5 minutes later, one pitches in right next to me about 5 yards. So I just start clicking. This thing had more leg bands on it.
No way.
Yeah, yeah, they have trackers and leg bands and everything. So it was like a blue and a yellow tag, radio collar tag. It had like a little band on it, like a metal waterfowl band.
Holy
Like the whole one leg.
You're gonna have to show us that picture.
Yeah, the whole one leg is just like I don't even know how it bends. It has so many.
Holy smokes.
So a little bit, like the next year, somebody was talking about it on Facebook,
Yeah.
and I sent the picture to the guy that runs that program, and he goes, "Oh, that's bird number X, and it's a male, and it's a 3-year-old, and blah blah blah." Yeah, all that information just by the color pattern of those bands that were on its
Oh,
leg.
is that how they do it?
Because if he took my picture and looked at it and said this is bird number X or whatever it was, and it's a 3-year-old male and it's breeding, it's its 3rd season back here. We bred it, or we tagged it when it was 3 years old or a year old.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, they're like the whooping cranes. Have you ever seen the leg bands on some of them whooping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're literally just up and down that thing.
Wow.
and they can tell exactly from a distance what bird it is.
See, even like with
Wow.
like the whole banding thing, and that's a whole different story that you could talk to for like hours about people like you got bands all around your lane or whatever it is. I just want to know like the behind like the research behind all that.
Mhm.
That's all I
Yeah.
want to know. Like I don't care how many bands you got or whatever it is. Like tell me the story about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tell me where it's at. I was working last year at an Applebee's, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, some geese start walking through the parking lot. I think I showed you this picture. Maybe not. All of a sudden, I'm like looking at these geese. I'm like mid conversation with the guy I'm working with. Yellow tarsal band, right in the parking lot, like downtown city. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, what? Jordan Blomgren, he's got a picture of that same bird 2 or 3 years prior over at the sanctuary at Jack Miner's place. But just like the stories like behind that, or like
Wow.
what that bird's seen, like
How many spreads it's been? How many times of near misses? That
because like that bird is like way west from where like the sanctuary's at.
Not really, if you think about it. But that's the misnomer about the minor sanctuary is that it's way over in Canada. It's literally just on the other side of.
Yeah, it's not far. At all.
No, it's
From
nothing.
Where we're at right now, it's what 20 miles.
Yeah,
At that. I
yeah.
mean, it's not far, but like where I was.
Is it
working-
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right
It's-
there,
Oh
Kingsville.
shit.
Kingsville,
Okay.
yeah, it's just on the other side of the river. I mean,
Wow,
it's
okay.
just basically on the other side of
If you
Windsor
go
there.
south of Livingston Channel, like that next point,
Yeah.
that's
Is it
basically
really?
Jack Miner right there.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot closer than what people think.
Yeah, because I was going to tell you about this earlier, I forgot about it. We actually got, I think, 20 or 30 acres right outside the sanctuary that we're able to hunt.
Uh-huh.
But have not been able, like, we just haven't gone over there to hunt it. And I've been wanting to so bad just to try to get one because surprisingly, we're this close to the sanctuary. We never see them over here. I mean, they're far and few between. They're, you hear about it. You just don't see as many as you think you would see on this side. But where I was working at, it was 30 to 40 miles more west than we're at right now. So I mean, it was kind of a hike or whatever it may have been. Like for the way a bird flies, it's not that big of a hike, but still, it could be downtown in the city and 3
Yeah.
years old or whatever. I mean, that's just crazy to think it came from over there. I mean, it's the stories behind each band is insane.
Yeah. The first Jack Miner band I seen in person, my buddy shot it. And he was supposed to go with us on a hunt. We had a farm lined up in like the Ann Arbor, Saline area.
Okay.
Guy calls me. He says, "Man, these geese keep waking me up every morning." He's like, "This one looks like it stuck its head in a PVC pipe.
Oh,
It's got this white thing around its neck." And I'm like,
I'll be there tomorrow.
yeah, that's what I'll be there tomorrow, And so we're waiting for my buddy Corey, and he was notoriously late all the time. And so it's time to go, man. They're like, we've already waited an extra 15 minutes, and we got to get down there and set up. And,
Especially a bird like that.
yeah, and I'm like, listen, we got to. He wouldn't answer his phone, wouldn't do nothing.
Oh,
So we got a little reservoir not too far from home. So we left. Me and another buddy left. Went down. The birds didn't show up down there that morning.
oh,
Not one bird flew.
don't tell me he went out up there.
He went out to the reservoir.
Oh my.
I get back after hunting and everything. I'm laying in bed, kind of taking a midday nap, and phone rings. It's my buddy Corey. I'm like, "Hey, glad to see you're alive." He's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man." I went and started the truck and let it warm up. And I sat back down on the couch and fell asleep. And I woke up, my truck was empty, and it was 9 o'clock.
Oh my god.
That's the stories he would tell us. But this day he got up and he's like, "Oh man, they left me without me." So he grabbed 5 floater goose decoys, went to the reservoir, goes out there. First
No
bird comes in,
way.
he shoots it. Minor band.
Oh wow.
So he calls me up. I'm half dozed out. He's like, "Hey, who's this Jack Miner guy?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I shot this goose today. It had a band on it. It's really a lot longer than a regular band. It says Jack Miner on it." I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, what?" I said, "Dude,
You-
I'd buy."
If you don't know who that is, don't hunt anymore. Dude. Like, just stop. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
and I was just like, of all the people and all this, and so then I think it was like 2013. I ended up shooting one on a goose, and it was over there over by St. John's.
Okay.
So that was even farther away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But
I mean, see, and even like the you could see kind of the track record of like where majority of them are shot at and stuff.
Tennessee shoots a lot of them.
Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy how far they go when, like I said, like we don't get that many over here and down south. Like they get pounded by them.
Yeah.
You know
Ohio
what?
and
You know
Tennessee.
the big thing I've seen this year, though. I think I told you about it in another podcast about how many Michigan bands were actually getting shot down south this year. Mm-hmm. I seen a big forum on Facebook. It was
I always wonder about
Tennessee.
that, too.
Oh, there I can't remember all the states it was. But
Because
there
a lot
was
of the time you're shooting a lot of local birds that have been here for X amount of years.
Yeah.
You just they never leave, you know. And I always wonder like what other states are getting our birds. And
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, it's just that
There-
kind of stuff
there was
is
a
the
lot.
whole interesting thing
Yeah.
for me. I mean,
So a few years ago, it was the last day of duck season. It's cold, it's nasty, and I was hunting St. Charles a lot,
Okay.
the refuge system up there. Last day of season, cold, nasty. We needed one more mallard, one more greenhead to kill for our limit. 4 guys.
uh-oh.
Yeah, it was one of those days. So a whole lot of them are coming in, and right at the last second, they kind of peel off and seen something they didn't like. One greenhead goes this way, bam, drop them, dead. Go out there, banned. I'm like, oh, I wonder where this one came from. You know, it's
Right.
December. You know,
He's traveled.
yeah, he's gone some
Yeah.
distance.
Local
So
bird.
I turned it in. 7 miles west of Saginaw. It was banded in the refuge that year. I was like, oh man.
That's the worst too. Like when they're like they look a little bit worn.
Oh, you did
down.
too. Yeah, you could have fooled me. I would have thought it was a couple years old, man. But yeah, 7 miles west.
7 miles away.
It was banded in the refuge.
Throw it back, dude. I don't want this one.
I was so disappointed.
Trevor, you got a.
I do have a question
I
on here.
Can't read your hand.
Yeah, it's
but-
chicken scratch. Do you know most of the guys on GK calls who are pro staff IM or whatever?
Yeah.
There's a kid that I'm referring to. He was calling. He was 12 years old at the time when I was calling, and I was about 17 or 18 years old. His name was Cole.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever met him?
Yeah.
That kid is unbelievable
Well,
at
he's probably not
calling.
a kid anymore.
Well,
Cole Russell.
Cole Russell, yeah.
He lives right outside the minor sanctuary.
Yeah, he lives
he's
in
over
he
there.
lives in
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
That kid is unbelievable at calling, and he never called in the juniors when I was there. He called against
You probably thought you were
Yeah.
hot shit, and then all of a sudden he comes right
this
across
12-year-old
the
kid
border.
comes in and he's just hammering on this goose call, and I'm like, he's about as good as Trevor Shanahan. I'm not gonna, dude. He was good.
Was
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
For 12 years old.
12. He was like 12 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Well, if he's living next to the sanctuary, that's probably all he hears, lives and breathes over there.
Yeah, that kid. I talked to him for a little bit, and man, he night and day he is practicing.
Yeah. At that time he was. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
I
was
don't know what he
very-
does now, but
He was very locked in at that time.
Was it?
I haven't spoke to him in some time, but from everything I know, I think he's doing. I don't think he's doing contests anymore.
no. Oh man,
But yeah, I don't think that passion is fizzled any for him.
oh man, he was a good caller though.
Yeah.
Really good caller. He really. When I seen him my first year of calling, he really struck me, and I was like, man, he's good. I was like, kind of like lit a spark underneath me. And I was like, man, I could be better at this. Mm-hmm. And then the next year I went, and I think I placed second at the Point Lily Waterfowl Festival, because the first year I placed third, and then the second year I placed second, and then the next year after that I didn't even place at all, because it was actually jam packed with callers the whole weekend there.
I mean, that's a big thing, though, too. I mean, a lot of these guys, they buy these calls that they think the call is going to make them better. Or they got 10 different calls because they think, oh, this call's a lot better. Than
Yeah.
Make me sound better. No. Put it in your truck, call. I mean, you got to practice on a
Yeah.
call, figure out that call, and then build off of that one and figure it out from there. Like, you can't just keep buying calls and hoping you're going to get better from this one call because you hear a video
Yep.
online and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. I went through, and my wife, when we were dating, and right when we first got married, she worked at the Gander Mountain.
Okay.
And so it was convenient, but it was also bad on our money at the time. But
You're probably broke.
yeah, but I had But when I go in there, and at that time, they were selling I bought a Buck Garner Canada hammer.
Yep.
That was
Exactly
the first.
what
call I had. And I blew that until you kind of almost outgrow it. Like you will.
Mm-hmm.
Like that side, that style of call and that price range.
Yep.
You kind of outgrow
It's almost
it.
like once you start getting faster with the call or learn how that call does, but you want it to do more and it
Yeah.
won't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it killed birds.
Yeah.
I killed a lot of birds with that call, and I learned on that call. And then I went to a foils migrator
Yep.
because that were the hot ticket then. And then after that, I met Bob and started doing the GK thing.
What call are you currently blowing right now?
For hunting wise?
Yeah. For hunting wise, yeah.
You know, it just depends on the day. So in a windy situation, you want a higher pitch call. It's going to cut through that wind. So
Yep.
we will blow the overture.
Okay. Yep.
They're short, little loud, fast call. If it's a quiet, foggy day, deeper, either the original Giant Killer or the Solution is kind of a mid-range tank too, and you can get real down low with it.
Okay.
I was gonna say I like this. I had the Solution. I need to get a retune now, so maybe I'll get a hold of you
Mhm.
and get it tuned up or whatever it is. But I've been really contemplating on that Overture.
Yeah,
Been really contemplating on that one.
yeah, it's great for windy days or the migrators,
Well, because
like those molts.
for us, I feel like over the years I'm starting to realize like we're shooting a lot of small geese lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not shooting those graders. I mean, obviously you're gonna get those in a group. They're
Yeah.
there, but I almost feel like it's like that mixed breed between the graders and like the subspecies of like the lessers or whatever it is. Like it's just those smaller geese that are
They're not
8 to
graders. They're
10
not giants.
pounds.
They used to
Yeah.
call them interior geese. The interiors.
right. So like,
Now it's just a Canada goose, and then you got the
because that's all that's here anymore. You know what I mean? And I in watching and scouting and seeing their interaction between the whole flock or the whole roost, whatever it may be, it's almost like it's like high pitched and they're like a cackler goose to an extent. Like they're just on top of each other feeding, and that's what like even the scouting aspect of it all. Like I'll look and see like are they spread out or are they like real
Balled
close
up,
on top of each other. Like okay, that's how we're running the spread tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm gonna probably plan on calling these birds tomorrow too. Like
Yep.
I'm gonna start like really hammering them, and obviously every flock's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Some flocks like it fast and quick, and some don't.
Have you ever had that first flock come in and they just screw off and go other way, and you're just like,
Move the decoys right now.
we're like, it's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
long day
Yeah.
because those first ones.
There we go.
Is that the present for the studio? Nice.
We'll talk about this here in a minute.
Yep.
Go ahead.
But yeah, so when the first flock comes in and they don't do it right, and you're just like, it's gonna be one of those days, and then you're like instantly just questioning everything you've
Right,
done.
right.
Like, is the hide right? Is it because those birds are the ones that are just supposed to just do it.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
and you're like, oh.
I am terrible at moving decoys about 8 times before
Oh, me
the
too.
first flock comes.
If they don't do it the way I wanted to do them,
Right.
it's like, well, they didn't do it because of the decoys.
Or like that one decoy right there is supposed to be looking this way. Like I'm gonna move it 2 feet and then flip it. Like I'm terrible at that.
See, I won't get to that much, but I just feel like I want as big a hole as I can get for these bigger geese. You know?
Right.
I want my kill hole to be big, give them room.
What's your go-to like I guess pattern? I guess you want to say for a decoy spread.
Well, it just depends if we're hunting, edge rows or A-frames or anything like that. A-frames, I don't, I was talking to Stahl one time, and I always wanted to try to center these geese up with the A-frame, and I couldn't do it.
Right.
And
In the
he's
middle of the field, or
Yeah, in the middle of the
okay.
field.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't,
Yeah.
you can't, you gotta side shoot them.
Right.
And once he told me that, and I started looking into it, then I was like, well, okay. And you want the sun to be on the front.
Right.
These are all things I didn't know, but he's always running panel blinds now,
We're
So,
supposed to be having him on here soon.
yeah. And just by talking to him for an hour one day, I began getting more confident and
Knowledgeable.
and confident
Yeah.
in that, because you couldn't have told me you could put an A-frame out in the middle of the field, and
I'm still like against it.
I'm about 80% there now, but because I've had some really good shoots like that, but there's just something about it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on it.
Well, I guess that's. I mean, even like with the turkey hunts, though, like you hear about you can't set up a blind the same day or this, that, and the other. So that's why I asked you about that earlier.
Oh, blinds, turkeys don't care.
That's what I always think too.
They don't.
Like you always see that, and it's like.
That's what we did with my son last year when we shot that bird.
Well, it's almost like
Same
a deer
day,
stand.
yeah.
You put the deer stand up, deer walking right underneath it, right after the fact. I know deer's a little bit different, but like they like if you're hunting that, I mean they're gonna be there. But the A-frame in the middle of the field.
Well, I got a different opinion on that one.
Yeah, you're a deer hunter, dude.
No, I think your first sit in the stand
Is your best.
is you're gonna be your best sit.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I
And
mean, if
then-
you're hunting a field, it's gonna be your first set.
I'm bad about that. Like I'll take my first sit.
Yeah,
If it
way
doesn't
off
work,
of that.
I'm moving.
Yeah.
Like it's out of there, gone. I'm done.
I'll give it time. Like so I feel like if the first day I come in and I set a stand, if I'm deer hunting, a tree stand, I feel like I'm gonna see or kill a deer that
Yep.
day.
Right.
Like that's my best. My odds go up. Every day after that, it goes down. So like if I go in there, one day I might wait, depending on what my situation and my
Yeah.
schedule is, but I won't hunt it consistently
No.
because then they start patterning you,
Oh yeah.
and then your scent keeps getting in there. But I'm not a real big deer hunter.
No, that's why I leave it
I
all
could
to
be
Trevor.
I could be just blowing
Screw
smoke,
deer.
you know.
No, you're good. I say usually if I set up a stand, if it's a preset stand, I'll put it in a spot. I'll give it maybe. Say I have like a 4-week span, I'll maybe hunt it 2 to 3 times.
Yeah.
And if it's not gonna be it, I'm moving it. That's game over. I'm gonna go find a new spot. Because
That's,
more than likely they're moving about 10 yards over to the other side, and yeah, that's,
Yeah, don't get him started.
No.
It's like speaking German, doing
No.
They have no idea what's going on half the time. I just agree with him and nod my head. That's about it. That's about
it's
it.
just personal opinions.
Some
That's
of the
all.
biggest deer I've ever shot has just been by pure accident.
You're
How
a
big?
walking actor.
No, like
How
this-
big?
I shot a nice 9-point a couple years ago. When I say nice, it's nice to me. It's probably
it's-
if somebody would have passed it 5 times before I shot it. You know, but no, we were up by where my cabin is, and it was snow, but there was a trail just beat to the mud, and I told my son, I said, "Hey, you probably need to hunt this tonight.
Right.
Sit on the downwind side of it and hunt it." You know, it was gun season. He's like, "Man, I really like my spot where I'm at." I said, "Okay."
I'll hunt here.
I said, "Well, I'm gonna go hunt here." So I took a 5-gallon bucket, set it down downwind,
Old school style.
right?
There.
Sat there for about an hour. Here comes this 9-point down that trail. Boom.
My
Hey,
whole-
as simple as it gets.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was
You
probably,
can't beat it.
It was definitely my biggest deer ever, you know. But you know, it's not a 130. It's probably 120 most. You know.
Oh, that's a good
it's
deer.
Story, and you're happy about it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm heard.
But
I mean,
like, I'm not a. And Glenn will tell you too. He bought this farm a few years ago up there in Cass City area, and I was the first person to shoot a deer off of it. And they were real adamant we don't shoot button bucks.
oh god, I got a story for you. After that.
It was like the last day of muzzleloader season. All the tails were there not to shoot this deer. It was by itself. It was last light. You know, it was getting there. It was still legal shooting time. And I'm like, 90 yards with a muzzleloader iron sights. I'm like, all right, boom, dropped him. I mean, there's this much snow, you know, knee-high snow, and I'm getting up there, and this deer's shrinking by the second. And it's like, get up there. And the whole weekend, we'd let like 8 button bucks go. And the whole time I was text messaging him, like, I'm going to shoot whatever comes in tonight. And he's like, you better not, you better not. I get up there, and I pull its head up, and it's got a little nose on it. I was like, oh. And so I'm like,
You throw it under your gun case so he can't see it because it's that small.
so he's texting me. He's hunting too, you know, and he's texting, what'd you get? What'd you get? I'm like, button buck. He's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't want to
Yeah, I
believe
did.
it.
Yeah, I did. He's like, no, you didn't.
Here's a picture,
He
dude.
comes up and he was like, he looks at it, and he just turned around and walked away.
That's what.
You gotta watch those dominant buttons though. I've had some button bucks that look giant.
So my family's actually from up that area, and we used to hunt up there, deer hunt when we were into it big time before the waterfowl stuff. And so my grandpa went out he shot a button buck. So the entire day, everybody was just like, he didn't know the same thing. Everybody was just dogging on him, you know, the entire day. We go out that night, or my dad went out that night. He sees a deer in the field. He shoots it after dogging my grandpa all day. He goes and tries to track that deer down. He shot a button buck. So there's 2 button bucks down on different properties. And so for Christmas, my uncle cut the tops off and gave them to him in a little box about that big. And that was their little trophy rack right there. It was something.
You know, so now in the barn, he has a deer management poster, like a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. He's like, take a look at this before you go out.
Your name's just at the very top of it. Oh, man, that's good stuff.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm not much of a deer hunter. I like eating them.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm with you.
I'll do it. And sometimes when I see a nice one, I get geeked up for it, but.
It's just about, like, ducks, geese, turkeys, whatever it is, like, just, like, I tell everybody, like, the interaction with it, the calling aspect of it all, the decoy setup of it all, and honestly, like, I almost like the scout more than the hunt.
Yeah, the preparation for it.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like, I don't touch the decoys. I got the decoys. I got it. Like, this is my part. You guys can shoot. I don't care. I just want to set the decoys up, because when they work, I can say, that was me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether you're calling or not,
I'm touching every damn decoy.
I will shoot you in your foot.
But, you know, my rule of thumb is and, you know,
Maybe one more, please.
as a guide, you know, that when you're out guiding, you know, mostly I'm taking care of the decoys. Yeah. But now, like, if somebody invites me to come along to their place, unless they ask me, I'm not touching decoys.
Right.
You know, that's their thing. You
they're
know?
scouting them. They're seeing the birds like we just talked about. I mean, it's one of those things where. Oh, okay.
See you bubbling.
Yeah. That might work in your spot because that's how your birds work.
Yeah.
But these are completely different birds that probably less pressure, probably less call to.
Maybe even
shot.
more.
Right. I mean, it could be brand new fresh birds that came in last night. Who knows? But I know the birds that have been here, so just let me do my thing and
yeah.
Trust me. It's basically like, you know, obviously I don't guide, but it's don't guide the guide.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I'm sure you guys run into that once in a blue moon, I guess.
Every once in a while, yeah.
Right.
But, you know, it's if I show up at somebody's place and, you know, this is your gig, man.
It's your show.
Yeah. You know, unless you ask my opinion, I'm going to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
Even you know, because I'm here you invited me to come, you know,
right.
like I'm here for
a good time.
Yeah, you know, and it's actually kind of a break sometimes. Is you know, being a guide, it's a break from.
You're always the one kind of thinking on your toes in a way.
Yeah, and it's
It
a
does
break.
get stressful too.
Oh.
I mean, even like with us not guiding, I couldn't imagine what the stress that you guys deal with guiding. I mean, when you guys get clients booked for weeks on end, I mean, like to be able to like go that far on hunts, to have successful hunts day in and day out,
yeah,
man, that's a whole different ballgame right there. I mean, how many miles you guys are putting on? I mean, that's a lot.
Well, you know, last fall we had in the evenings, Connor and myself would scout, and we had 2 other guys. So we had 4 guys out on the road every night scouting.
It's a ton.
Wow.
And we just, you know, you're designated an area,
Right.
so you're not crisscrossing and checking the same stuff, but it's
Right.
a well calculated plan.
Oh, communication is a huge thing.
You know, and like, well, how many do you got here? Well, we got 300 in this field tonight. You know, whatever. You know.
Right. And
But
the biggest part is too. I mean, you got to get guys that are actually willing to like. My problem up here is the guys don't have the drive to do it. So it's like I'm out there every night. I got a 2019 truck with 125,000 miles on it right now, and it's like
with an alternator issue.
no, not anymore.
Oh, not anymore. Oh, okay. No.
But like nobody understands it like that though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not about money or posts or likes or whatever it is. It's just like the drive to do it. I guess I don't know. There's just a bigger picture that you like people got to look at.
Oh, don't get me wrong. You know, guiding people, it's fun.
Oh,
You're out there and you're interacting, and like I say I'm going to do this every year. I'm going to document like 3 years of hunts.
I do the same thing.
I say I'm going to do it, like weather conditions, parametric pressures, this, that, all the conditions,
Yeah.
and try to come up with a
diagnosis of like what's good and what's not
Yeah.
at that time. Yeah, I do the same thing.
and I tell myself I'm going to do it every year,
Never do.
and I forget.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, I'm like, dang it, man, I should have done that, just to kind of compare notes. And like up by where I am, the molts, about the September 15th to
Calendar birds.
you're almost a good stiff wind,
Yeah.
north wind, boom, you can guarantee you're going to have new birds.
And even with the stiff winds, though, I mean, we might have north winds down here.
Yeah.
Lansing north might be
West.
southwest.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is. Like, I got a big wind finder on my phone.
Mhm.
And I look at them swirls on where they're going to be stopping at, and I'll go check that. Check out pictures prior hunts. Okay, we shot these birds September 20th. I can't find birds right now. Let me go over here and check that out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It's a whole science in a sense, I guess you want to say.
It's a crazy science.
I can relate that to deer hunting quite a bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's just certain areas their birds are going to be there.
Right.
And that's the thing that cracks me up about turkeys. Every year, it doesn't matter how many birds you shoot off the one farm, there's always more birds in it the next year.
I was going to ask you about that with the guiding. How often do you guys hunt the same property?
As like waterfowl or
Turkey.
It just depends on how many birds are in that farm area, because you want to leave some for seed,
Right.
for the next year,
Right.
and you don't want to. You want to keep your odds up every time you go out, because if
Right.
the more you go out there, the more you mess with them, call them
Pressure
in, you
the
miss
birds.
them or whatever.
Yeah.
Things go wrong, they spot you, they catch you, whatever. Your odds start to go down every time you go out there. So, I would say, like last weekend we hunted. I killed 2 birds off the one farm in one day.
Okay.
And different times. But, last year we killed 3 birds off of one farm.
Now, client misses a bird. How soon are you getting back onto that property?
We're probably going to at least let it lay for 2-3 days, 4 days.
And you're jumping back on.
Yeah, it just depends, the
Different
birds are back
setup
in.
at that point then?
Oh, yeah. And it just depends on what the bird's doing. You come back in the afternoon and they're back where you missed them at. Maybe it didn't affect them as much.
Right.
You never know. Give it a couple days.
Because that's what I was kind of thinking with mine anyway. Like, he kind of walked off. Like, it was, like I said, a little bit windy out. Kind of walked off into the woods. The hens, like, what the heck just happened? They followed them. I think they putted like 2 or 3 times, whatever. And I haven't touched property since, but I don't know. Don't know when the right time to get back in is.
Yeah, it's just, you go in there and if you don't get any reaction, then you back out.
Right. Right.
And then come back a week later or so.
When you're running and gunning, are you using decoys or no?
It just depends,
Access and stuff like
yeah,
that.
how much I'm going to run it. If I'm running through the woods,
Right.
I'm not going to be lugging a breeding pair and another turkey decoy with me. I'll probably run a single hen.
I was just gonna say.
You ever killed a bird without a decoy?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's some of my fun. It's some of my favorites because they're looking around like where did she go?
Kaboom.
I had one come across the field one time, and he came in and he just went into the woods, and I didn't have a decoy on. He just came into the woods like 40 yards. So I'm calling, gave him a quick yelp, and come back out. Boom. So.
That's that curiosity.
I'd like
thing.
to do that.
Well, my goal this year is to shoot a bird in the timber. Usually it's like field edges and stuff. I mean, we're when I'm seeing them out in the mornings or the afternoons, whatever it may be. I mean, to an extent, it's pattern and population of the birds. But that hard timber is a whole different challenge in itself.
Oh yeah,
I feel like.
timber turkeys are some of my favorite.
Because you never see them until like they're. I mean, depending on where you're at, hardwoods or thick woods. I mean, they could be right on top of you. They're 100 yards out coming. You got to be still the entire time, just like field edge. But still, it's.
Well, the biggest thing too is the sound in the woods is different. It bounces off
sure.
different, and you can't really pinpoint it, and you don't see them coming. So you got a bird coming across 200 yards across the field, you can get yourself in position.
Right.
I don't know how many times I thought that bird was going to come over here. I got myself set up for here, and he pops up over here.
Right.
He just won.
Just the way he's turning in the
Yeah.
woods or whatever.
He
it may
just won
be.
today,
Right.
Yeah, and you're like, you got me.
Yeah, yeah, that's all you gotta do. That's all you can say.
Because I mean, you try to make that swing on him, he's gone.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
and so what I like to do is in the woods, I like to just have a fan. That way, it gives them something to look at.
Right.
Because it's obscured in there. Their vision's obscured in there because you got limbs and everything. So if you can see that fan, that broad fan, you just like either
a point to stare at. Or whatever, right.
So he doesn't necessarily see it. It brings his curiosity.
Right.
Because he can't see the whole thing, so he's like, where's he at? You know, maybe you turn. That takes the tension off you and all that other stuff. And then because it's in the woods, his vision is obscured. Where he comes across that field, he can see that your decoy set up for 200-300 yards.
Right.
He's locked in on it. He knows right there to go. You know.
That's what I messed up last night when I jumped those two, the Jake and the Tom last night when I set up. Because I set up like as soon as I seen them. The turkeys came out. I realized I set up in like a bowl, and it looked like a good spot. But after analyzing the whole situation, it's like, all right, they can't even see.
They couldn't even see them. Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those things. And last night I got like an upright hen, and then that Jake that we talked about, and I put that upright hen like right underneath that Jake, and I got a feeding hen like 50 yards out or whatever it was. I don't know if it was that upright hen that was underneath that Jake that those hens didn't like because it was just later in the afternoon or what. I mean, I don't know. The hens didn't like something. I mean, there was a very low pressured area too, but they didn't like something, and then Tom's followed right behind them.
Well, there are boss hens too.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
And if she's the boss hen in the area and she's taking away the attentions of another Tom, you know, that causes a rivalry as well. You know, so. Have you ever watched the breeding sequence of wild turkeys?
Personally, I have not.
I witnessed this year. So there's a big flock of turkeys, hens, and everything. There was like 3 Jakes and 2 Longbeards. That hen would lay down. That Jake come running over.
The Tom beat the shit.
No, that hen jumps up. She circles around the Tom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, and then she wants the Tom to breed him. Okay.
Yeah, she knows which one she wants. So, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the turkey breeding sequence, we're doing it all wrong. We're trying to call the Tom to us. In real life, the hens come to the Tom. That's why he's gobbling to bring them in.
So I seen that last year on my bird. My bird I shot last year. It was like the most bizarre thing because the Tom stepped out of the woods. Everywhere you looked, there was hens coming right towards the Tom.
Yeah.
Like it was like there was like 6 or 7 hens coming right towards the Tom. I was like,
and so
what the
when
heck's
you're in a
going on?
field and he hangs up out there 50 yards, 60 yards,
Right.
he's saying, "Here I am.
Right.
Come to me." And that's why people say, "Oh, he hung up." That's what it is.
Because he
You're
wants the hen to come to him.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
But going back to that, so she would circle around him. She'd lay down over here. That Jake come up and she'd get up and run around. Finally, that big Tom circles, and he'll circle her about 2 or 3 times, and then he gets on her. And it's quite a process. It's something.
Interesting.
Once you see it,
It's pretty. Yeah. I mean, it gives you a whole new look on what's actually going on.
and it's fun. I mean, she knows which one she wants to breed with.
Right.
She knows the Jakes and she knows the Tom. And so there's a pecking order too.
Yep.
There's a thing I heard a while back. I don't know how true it is. That Jakes don't breed. Is that true?
I don't know what the percentages of it do, but most of them don't.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen them try.
Right.
I don't know how successful.
Because I mean, they obviously attack the crap out of your decoys and stuff like that. But I mean, I just didn't know. But
I've seen Jakes get up on top of the decoy.
that was a cramp and a half.
But yeah, I've seen the Jakes come in and try to breed a hen decoy.
Yeah, I've seen that. God, that was bad. I've seen that, but like I heard about that and I was like, man, Jakes beat the crap out of decoys. Like, what are you talking about? Jakes don't breed, but like with the dominant hens and stuff like that, it makes sense.
They might breed some the lower
right
on the pecking order. But
I almost feel like at that point though, when the dominant hens are bred and sitting on nest, I mean, it just next in line, the Tom's coming around and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen. You'll see it too in the summertime. You'll see different stages of poult. You'll see some that look just like almost full grown turkeys, and then you'll see some that are still fuzzballs.
Yeah.
Right. And so those probably were the hens that were bred last, you know. So
Because even it was last night, right? Yeah, last night I was out there. I seen these hens coming through. I literally thought they were like guinea fowl coming through the woods. They were that small that I thought they were guinea fowl coming up the tree line. I'm like, whose guinea fowl got loose out here right now? You know?
yeah,
They're just tiny, and then that one boss. I'm gonna assume it was that boss hen just didn't like it and walked off. But it was just crazy how small. I mean, the sizes of it this time of year. You know?
Interesting.
But you got any more questions?
No, I think I'm all set.
We've been going for
Almost 2 hours here now.
a while.
yeah,
But no, Paul, I appreciate it. Appreciate you spending the time out here.
yeah. It was
So
fun.
late and stuff.
No, it's good.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Any social media or anything that you wanted to cover?
Just my Instagram's Paul Hinman. Yeah, you can find me there. I post pictures, reels, whatever. Not really into. I mean, I post probably one a week or so. But yeah, and then Facebook, whatever.
Cool.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then,
GK calls and
Yeah, GK calls. You can get a hold of Glenn. He's in the shop all the time. And then, you know, get a hold of Connor if you're looking for a duck or goose hunt at Great Lakes Guided Outdoors. And turkey hunts in the spring. I think we're
yeah,
pretty much booked up
right?
for the spring this year.
You got what 3 dates? I want.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
17th, 18th.
Yeah, he had a one opening for one man too.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So,
We had him on a while back.
Yep.
I mean, I'd like to get him back on for like turkey hunting and stuff like that too.
yeah.
So, but no,
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man.
No,
Yeah, thank
I had
you.
a great
Appreciate it.
time.
Yep.
It was a pleasure.
Great time.
So,
Yep.
Close it out, Kyle.
till the next one. Appreciate it, everybody.
See you guys.